Coach, who are players on Oklahoma State to pay attention to?
They play through their two guards a lot, Williams and Anderson. Both of them are extremely talented kids that play well out of pick and rolls. They play really good out of isolations.
Hang around a little bit. Hang around a little bit. We can talk travel and stuff.
Thank you. Sorry, Coach.
They play through those two guys a lot. They're extremely athletic. Probably the best offensive rebounding team we've seen for sure. You know, they're geared. They don't really have a girth, big guy. You know, we saw Cisse twice last year, so we kind of know him. I just love how hard that kid plays, and you know, he's at his size. He does the one thing that he needs to do, and that's his activity. The big guys that play hard, active as he is, they cause problems. But the Boone brothers, the one's more of a three-point shooter, but they're both really good offensive rebounders. You know, I think Mike does a good job. You know, when you prepare for a team, you watch them play, you can tell if they have a plan. Not all of them have a plan. A lot of them is a lot of teams just play. But Oklahoma State has a definite plan. They play a lot of pick and rolls. They play to the short roller. They make your one side guy have to make a decision on help. The two side guys, if one of them's Anderson, means you're having to help on a roller. And Williams is good at is picking out which guy to throw it to. If you have off the one side, he throws it to him. If you have off the two sides, he throws it to the one that's open. And then they get in the paint, and the bigs have to come up and help. Now you've opened up offensive rebounding opportunities galore. So that's our biggest concern.
Hey, Chris, we'll stay with the Houston Chronicle. Joseph, go ahead, please.
Good morning, Kelvin.
Good morning.
Kelvin, this is down the road, but I was curious from when we talked to you back in September with the Big 12 announcement. You know, games like Saturday will be the norm. I mean, these are, you know, you've scheduled these games in the past of other schools that are, you know, in the Big 12 or other conferences, but specifically for Big 12, this will be the norm in a couple of years. Just your thoughts on if any at this point about this sort of being what you're going to go into on a regular basis, you know, in a few years from now, and having this type of schedule, you know, constantly through you know, for conference at least, and what you do non-conference.
I don't really have any thoughts on it. And just play the game. Your next game. I mean, we played Butler, Oregon, Wisconsin, Alabama, Oklahoma State's next. I mean, then after that we have Cincinnati and Memphis, Wichita State. Yeah, every conference is tough, you know. And every conference says their conference is the best. You know, Big Ten coaches think their conference is the best. Big 12 coaches think theirs is the best. I'm sure SEC think theirs is the best. I have no idea. You know, I just know how good Oklahoma State is, and that's our next game. It's kind of what I'm thinking about.
Speaking of the game, do you have any updates on Marcus or Reggie or Tremont?
No updates.
We'll go to Jacob Unruh with the Oklahoman. Jacob, go ahead with your question for Coach Sampson, please.
Hey, Kelvin. Sorry about the mute mistake there earlier.
No worries.
Didn't realize I wasn't muted. What is your relationship like with Mike Boynton?
Very good. I've enjoyed getting to know him. I think he's extremely intelligent. I think he's a great servant leader. He's My generation will be phased out. You just kind of move on, and the younger guys come along. And I think there's so much better early than I was. They're smarter. They're more geared to reaching out and doing things. Of course, you have so many more platforms to do that today than say 30 years ago. But I'm really, really, really impressed with Mike Boynton. I think he's a star in this business. If not, he's going to be. His demeanor. I think he's a great relationship guy. I just hope that wherever he is, that people don't take him for granted, because you don't realize how good a guy like that is until he's gone.
Does that kind of help you out this series? Because you played 3 out of 4 last year. Like that.
Yeah, Jacob, we just like to play good teams. I didn't even say Virginia. I mean, you think about our schedule this year. We played Virginia, Butler, Oregon, Wisconsin, Alabama, and now Oklahoma State. I guess that's why I wasn't sure about how to answer Joseph's question about that being the norm. Well, we're doing it now. Because I think every game's hard. I'm not on the outside looking in. I'm on the inside looking out. It's amazing how people tell us what games we're going to win and what games we're going to lose. I think we can lose every game we play. I think that's why we prepare our kids so hard, because there's no such thing as an easy game. But I appreciate Mike playing us, because he doesn't have to. I think this is a good game. Oklahoma State, the tradition they've had over the years and decades. Of course, I go back to mid-90s with Coach Sutton, and now with Mike, Sean, and then Mike. So I've always had a great competitive relationship with Oklahoma State, and now that they have Mike there, he's been open, and I think this is a good game. They recruit the Dallas area as we do. They've got a great program. I think we have a great program here. So it's a game that makes sense, but the fact that Mike is open and is willing to do it is big for us.
Thanks, Kelvin.
You're welcome.
Jacob, we'll go back to Chris Gardner, please. Chris, go ahead.
Coach, I think part of the Hoop Hype event is a community involvement piece. What is the team going to be doing in Fort Worth for that?
Yeah, we're going to an elementary school tomorrow. I think they have us set at 2:30. From what I understand, Chris, I think we're just doing a reading program maybe, spending time with their kids. But, whatever they want us to do, we're willing to do it. I think anytime we do something like this, I think it's important to teach kids. It's about giving, helping others. And sometimes I always think back to what the great philosopher from Serbia, Greg Popovich, said all the time about, as soon as you learn to get over yourself, your life is a lot easier. I think when you do events like this and you put the emphasis on the people that you're serving, it's another example of the more you learn to give, the more you receive.
We'll go back to Joseph Duarte. Joseph, please go ahead.
Kelvin, I think you just answered my question about. I was going to ask you about playing a neutral site. You've gone there; they've come here. Is that something you prefer to do at least once a year, in addition to the tournament that you play at, to have a neutral site game?
Yeah. When me and Chris Beard we were both set to go to, well, I'm not sure. I don't think they were. I think they were going to somewhere in Florida or the Bahamas. I can't remember. But we were going to Charleston last year to play in that tournament. And because of COVID, I'm sitting here with my mask right now. We've been told to mask up again. So here comes COVID, huh? But I can't remember if I called Chris or he called me about, we're supposed to be in the Charleston Classic with Florida State and Oklahoma State. I think they were in that tournament too. BCU, Penn State, but that was a good tournament. But anyway, when that thing dissolved and his tournament dissolved, he was looking at a site, and I said Fort Worth because that's where our conference tournament is. And we actually had Mark Pugh and Bruce. We went to Auburn. I think we had agreed upon Auburn, Houston, Texas Tech, Gonzaga. We play each other, but we were going to play a game before that, and we got Boise State to come here. And then we wound up playing Texas Tech in Fort Worth. But the main idea there was, I'd never been to that arena. We were on our way there the year before when we had to turn around. But that's where we played a conference tournament. And having a presence, I think, in that part of the state is good for us. I think it's great for Oklahoma State too, because they've got some really good players. The Keeley kid, he and Marcus are good friends actually. So both those kids are from that area. So it makes a lot of sense.
Kelvin, if I could quickly follow up, not to bring up the elephant in the room, but you brought up COVID. Is that something that as a university or as college basketball in general, are some protocols coming back into place, or is it the steps now that y'all are having to take with some of the recent variants and surges popping up again?
Yeah, actually, Mike and I talked yesterday because they had just played Cleveland State, and Cleveland State had some people in their program. You don't always assume it's players. I mean, it could be a manager, assistant coach, whatever. But they had some positives, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Cleveland State had to cancel a couple games. But they were playing Oklahoma State. But Mike, being the professional that he is, he called me yesterday to let me know so we could make a decision on whether we wanted to go. And we're dealing with the same issue here. So I mean, it was looming. I think COVID was always looming. It's always out there, so kind of just lurking. But it's back now. So I had a conference call this morning with our medical staff, and we just had our staff meeting to go over practice and scout report, those things, and we all had masks on. And on the bus tomorrow, we were told we have to wear masks. We have to go to the hotel in masks. I don't think we have to wear a mask during the game. But it's back, Joseph, and we're having to deal with protocols again. So didn't Mick test positive, and did they cancel that game last night?
I'm not sure. Exactly.
He tested positive. I don't think they canceled the game though.
Yeah. So I know it's going around the NFL and NBA again, and it's just a matter of time before it trickles more into college.
We'll go to Dayon Dunlap. Dayon, go ahead, please.
Hey, Coach, what did you think of Ramon Walker getting his first minutes? What did you see from him in his first minutes at the college level?
I don't think there's enough there to have a concrete opinion on Dayon. I'm just glad to see him out there. You know, I would have played Robbie probably before Ramon, but Robbie's more of a big, not big, but he's more of a specialist, more of a matchup guy at the 4 spot. But he's learning. You know, he's improving his 3-point shot. He's working. Those guys were awesome. Yesterday was a day off, but we brought all our freshmen in, and they got a good workout in. But they're getting better. But you know, Ramon took a charge. He had 2 wide open threes, but he did what he was supposed to do with those threes in that game, which is miss them. You know, you always pick out 1 or 2 games a year where you just say, you know, we're not going to make a 3 tonight. You know, let's chunk 21 up there and see if we can miss 19 of them. So he got with the game plan there early. But you know, he's a big, strong kid. You know, what he can really do is rebound. You know, what these kids are good at, you can't determine anything in limited minutes. You know, it's like watching J1 play 3 minutes and doesn't get any rebounds. You say, well, you know, he's just not a good rebounder, is he? Well, I see J1 every day. I see Ramon too. Ramon's going to be a good player. And it was good for him to get those minutes the other night. Now, he got loose one time. We had him in the corral about what we wanted him to do, but the lock busted him. He drove in there and turned it over. I said, you know, my father used to tell me all the time, if you'll be quiet, nobody will know you're not smart. If you be quiet, don't say anything, you can trick them. And I told Ramon, I said, Ramon, if you don't drive in there and turn it over, because I watched him do that a lot in practice, you know, now the cat's out of the bag. So if you just stood out there and shot threes, they'd have said he must be a good 3-point shooter because he keeps shooting those things. Where there you go, driving into traffic, trying to do something that's not his game right now. But that's a good learning moment for him. You know, the thing I love about Ramon and Javier and Kieran and Robbie is I love coaching them. They're great kids. I mean, and we're blessed that way. We have great kids in this program. I don't think you can have sustainability with any kind of success without character kids. And so we're proud of that, not just the graduation rate, which I thank their parents and our academic people for, but you know, you guys have been around our program enough to know what kind of program we have and how important character is and the kind of kids we have. So I just wanted to add that.
We'll go to Jason Bristol with KHOU. Jason, please go ahead.
Morning, Kelvin. You know, you mentioned all that stuff about the program and the standards you set. I know you reached out to Alabama. Are you concerned about the public perception based on an incident like that?
No, I don't. But you're asking me, you know, somebody else may, but I don't. You know, one of the things you learn when you have a public job is you don't let other people define who you are.
We'll go back to Joseph Duarte. We've got time for a couple more questions. Joseph, go ahead, please.
Kelvin, it's crazy to think that we're at the end of another year, and we're doing a kind of an end of the year package, and was wondering when you look at everything that's happened this year for you and basketball program, things you've done, accomplished, you know, the Big 12, and then as you look forward to 2022, you know, any thoughts on sort of where you've been and hopefully, you know, where you go in the following year?
Well, there's a lot of people here, Joseph, that weren't here to see where we've been. You know, and that's you know, and that's sometimes that, you know, you think about the freshmen that are seniors right now. I have no idea that this program was the depths where this program were 7 years ago. You know, you think about it. We've had 2 graduating classes that's never seen us lose a game at well, maybe one game. I mean, how many games have we lost since we've been to? I know BYU, Central Florida. Who was the other loss? Oh, Oklahoma State. That's right. So, our first year in Fertitta was what year? 18, 19?
2018.
Yeah. So 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21, and now 21, 22. That's, it's come a long way. And that's an understatement. I don't know. Understatements is like the weather. Some people think it's cold where they are, and it's all relevant. 32 degrees in Miami is not the same as 32 degrees in Anchorage. Just like an understatement to some is an understatement doesn't carry the impact of what the meaning of that statement is relevant to what I'm talking about. But when I think of all that, Joseph, I think of Devontae Pollard and LaRon Barnes, J-Rod Stiggers, Burt Colley, Kyle Meyer, L.J. Rose, Chicken Knowles, working with those guys that year, dealing with all those injuries, Mikael McLean. We had 3 guys with broken bones in their feet that had to miss the year. Finishing the year with J-Rod Stiggers. J-Rod Stiggers is our point guard. That's like playing with Ed Oliver as your quarterback. Maybe not that bad. But this year's been a challenging year. I think my first thought is all the people that died from COVID that didn't have to. That maybe if we could have done something. We live our lives, and we're so blessed and fortunate to be able to be alive and to do what we do. And that's why, as you get older, you don't ever think about pressure anymore. Because really, what is pressure? I know what it is. I never felt it in my 30s. I think I felt it more in my 40s and 50s, maybe. But now you look back and think, who cares? Nobody really cares. But I do think about when I think of last year, I don't think about our accomplishments as much as how this COVID thing impacted our nation and the world, and how we all had to navigate through it, and how blessed we were to be able to play the college season. And even though we got to the Final Four, nobody was, the stands weren't packed. I remember my first Final Four, I think we played in front of 50,000 at the Georgia Dome. And I remember walking out, looking up, and I said, I can't see those people up there. I know they're up there because the Georgia Dome, they had them up there in the top. So I can't see them, so I know they can't see me. But around the court, I think there was 25,000. Then when you go to Indianapolis, you walk out and same thing. You get the huge football stadium, but it was different. But that's COVID. COVID impacted the world, and that's why I taught our coaches and players that we have to listen to our medical people. I think about all the people that lost their lives and the families that were impacted and still impacted. I think about that a lot. And, I have a wife that is more knowledgeable about that stuff than I am. So I listen to her a lot. She pays attention to it. So whatever, she told me this was coming, this variant that they have, that it was coming. So I'm paying attention. But the seniors that you have, Dejan, and even though Quentin wasn't the senior, Dejan, Quentin, Bryson, Justin, just being around that team, that was a special group. The team's record, I don't really care about the records that much anymore. I just care about the experience. The winning, the losing. I think it's important to have teams that you can lose with. You know, you have knuckleheads and low character dudes, they get exposed when adversity hits. That's why we handle adversity so well here, because we have so many high character people, and it starts with our staff. You know, I've got great people around me, and that's why I enjoy the experience with them. You know, you're going to lose games here. No matter where you are, you're going to lose games. You know, unless you're Gonzaga, they don't seem to lose ever. Mark and I are good friends, so I'm allowed to say that. You know, I look around college basketball, and you know, when people talk about college basketball, you always hear Houston now. You know, it's a huge accomplishment, and I don't take it for granted, because I remember what it was like in 2014. The people that showed up 3 years ago, 4 years, 5, those are the people that get disappointed when we lose the most, because they don't have an appreciation from where we started.
Got time for one more question. We'll go to Chris Gardner, please. Chris, go ahead.
Coach, are there plans that you may not be final yet for the team to be in an NT next season?
Every season, Chris, there will never be a season where we're not in an NTE. So yeah, I mean, every year, I mean, just take it for granted. Those are 3 games. I mean, everybody's in some kind of tournament, you know, and we have our pick of the litter, you know. Arguably, the one everybody wants to be in is Maui. You know, I didn't call Maui; they called us. They called me and told me we were going to be in it. And then I went over and told the administration, "We're going to be in Maui. Here's the dates." Next year, you know, we haven't decided which one. We got it narrowed down. So, and then the following year, you know, we kind of know which one that will be. It can't be announced yet, but and then the following year. You know, I'm usually 3 years in advance when it comes to MTEs. It's like next year, you know, Alabama's going to be at the Fertitta Center. We're going to go to Charlottesville, play Virginia. We still have a game we have to play at Oregon. You know, we know we're going to be in a different league here eventually. We just don't know definitively which year it's going to be. So all those things come into play when I do our scheduling. You know, you put all these things, and then you say, okay, what's the best thing for our program? And that's all I care about.